Hey guys, welcome back. This is Peter, and today we're going to dive back into Vapor with Swift. Previously, I had it set up on another server. I had it remotely linking. We had HTTP open up. I still haven't got a HTTPS service for that setup, but what I wanted to do today was actually run Vapor and actually set it up so I could actually get a service running, like a daemon running on the server, and then have that basically perform an activity, like connect to either or actually perform a connection to a database and get that connected. So basically we will have our REST API that will take in a request, and essentially the request will take in an image, or we'll take in an image, or we could take the condensed form of an image into input values for our face identification model. So basically what I want to try and build is a face detection system. I do have a trained model that's being used on a number of faces, and I want to try and get an image taken and then send that up. I don't know exactly how the face detection system has been trained. I'm going to do that later. First, what I want to do is I want to set up Vapor so I can basically have a REST API that takes in a set of inputs. I want to try that, maybe send the image up and have the image processed online. So that would probably be the first way to do it, and then figure out exactly how I can then massage it, maybe to have something else that doesn't necessarily take the image up. But what I want to do is figure out how I get a process or something happening on the server that does something and then returns a value on the REST API. So it will be an asynchronous operation where the phone will send up a message via REST. We might use the simulator on iOS first to do that. So we're going to explore Vapor again. We're going to explore how to build REST services. We're going to dive into the documentation about how to set that up, and see if we can at some point send something up to that service. The other thing we'll do maybe next week is dive into how we can get an app to take a photo and then send that up to the cloud, to this server. But first we'll have that server running locally. So I have got the same Vapor server package set up on my local machine. I'm going to work with that instead of trying to deploy constantly to a server, because it just takes too much time. So we'll obviously deploy locally, test it, and then deploy this thing, which will be production. So this is essentially an MVP product. We're just trying to pump something out, throw things against the wall, see what works, and then take those learnings and build something that's going to stand the test of time, so to speak. So guys, let's get back to Vapor. Let's jump into Swift and let's explore. Hey, well, here we are. So basically, where we're at now is we have Swift 5.90 installed on my local machine, and we need Swift 5.10. I have just installed Swift 10, and I'm looking to see how we select the toolchain so we can build it. So I've just installed it. I don't know if I have to restart this terminal. We're going to just obviously here look at, to do it, you do this by the looks of it. So yep, here XC run toolchain Swift version. All right, let's try that. Selecting the Xcode toolchain affects the IDE only. To use install toolchain with XC run, pass the toolchain Swift option. Right, so let's see, XC run toolchain. No, don't need that. Docker compose. What? No, we didn't. XC run dash toolchain Swift version. Let's see. So what is it going to give us? Alternative, you may select the toolchain on the command line by exporting the toolchain's environment variable as follows. So it doesn't look that easy, right? So, oh no, here we go. Do Swift. So this is the one we've installed, but the one we're going to use in Xcode is going to be 5.9. Actually, no, we could. This is what? Which one? 5.9.2. So we've got XC run toolchain Swift. Toolchain Swift. But if we do this, toolchain Swift run XC run error. So this is not going to work either. Failed XC run, unable to find a utility run. Okay, so this is we're not. So this is the XC run. If we want to actually go Swift. Okay, so how do we select which version? Toolchain name. Swift run 5.2. Swift length. Swift release. Okay, so we do. Okay, so can we do? We can't do XC run because I just want to run Swift, right? So let's see. Toolchain name. So which one have we got? So let's do. Basically what I want to do is switch my command line to use the toolchain of Swift 5.10 because this project was built in Swift 5.10. So let's clear that out. Basically, we want to go and there's some help here. So go, let's see, library developer toolchains, toolchain name. We know what the toolchain name is, so we'll just post that here, and then we'll go like this, copy this across here. Basically, I want to go and LA this here. Okay, so what do we got? We got two. We got latest. Swift tool, LA developer tool chains, right? So that's the one we've got, but we're still trying to run Swift 5.9. So what about if we do now Swift? Maybe I needed to restart. No, Swift 5.9.2, which is set by the Xcode system. So if we do run export toolchains putil, maybe we just try that. Swift legacy toolchain, right? Let's just do this. Let's do exactly what they suggest. Okay. Sublime text. My favorite little text editor just in place. No, we don't need to worry about this gem file from create a new document. Maximize here. Okay, so we'll basically just copy this. I'm actually getting into Vim, I think it's a thing right now, Vim. Anyway, I'm not really that fast enough. I'm just practicing little by little, just a little by little every day. And then eventually I hope to master it enough to be able to export toolchains equals, okay, I don't know if this is, export toolchains, util. So property, let's see, bundle by roar. All right. Okay, so let's we do Swift. Hey, that didn't work. It didn't do anything. So what about echo echo tool chains. No, do I even have that in the path? Like, no, we don't need this. Close this. Terminate this. All right. Okay. Echo tool chains. No, nothing. So select the installed toolchain in Xcode. Navigate. Yep. Xcode uses selecting the toolchain in Xcode on to use the installed toolchain with XC. I don't want to use XC run. Alternatively, you may select the toolchain on the command line by exporting toolchains. Oh, run the package installer, which install. Yes, I've done that. An Xcode toolchain. Okay, let's set up our command line. That's command line tools, right? 5.3, 15.3. So let's try that. Yes, we got it set up at 510. All right, great. Now let's see if we can go and just go Swift run to build the project, and then we can just go Swift run. Okay, yep. Seems to be building it. All right, excellent. We got some movement here. All right, so this should build our app. Once build it, Swift run. So we're going to build it and run it when it's building it. Okay, so in the meantime, let's have a look at the Vapor docs, Vapor codes. And what I want to do is I want to find out exactly how I can set up a endpoint. So get started. Future of web development. Basics. What is Fluent? Is this overview model? No. Basics. Routing. Content. We want to serve some content here. Vapor's content API allows you to easily encode decodable structs from HTTP messages. So to understand the Vapor's content API works, you should first understand a few basics about HTTP messages. All right. First step to decoding this HTTP message, creating a codable that matches the expected structure. All right, so we have, what we'll probably do is we'll have string. We basically want to have an image. Okay, it's building. All right, app post greeting. Once you have the content structure, you can decode it from the incoming request using, all right, struct profile query. So is there an example? App get. So we've got app get hello. So we'll have, that's the endpoint. Decode hello. Now that you have the content struct, right? Okay. This route would result in the following response given the example request above. So we get a get decoding. This and decoding works. So basically, we want to do a get, right? We do. We want to send in some data, and we want to get to return the actual. Let's see. We would want to return. What would we return? We would want to return, say, the ID of something. So we have the request, right? So this is the request. HTTP API works. So we have content. First step, decoding this HTTP, creating codable. So that's the request. And then, so this is the post, and then HTTP. Okay, so that's the write, essentially. So a write post decode method uses the request content type. That means this route, so this is the post, and this is the post greeting. Okay, so let's just print greeting into the log of the server. So we have that. Okay, great. We have our server started. So now we should be able to go into 127.0.0. We go hello Vapor. Yep. So that's our local server now. Got that running. Yep. And what we can do is we should be able to open our server code in Xcode by just so we should be able to open our server code in Xcode by just, let's see, what are we gonna do? Let's go back to here. Okay, clear. We're going to open Xcode with the current application, well, the current folder. Open.-a Xcode basically opens the current folder in Xcode, and this will detect the package file, which means it'll just open the project in Xcode. And essentially, we want to dive in and create some. Let's see, we want to create some post endpoints. I think in the sample there's a few. So we have the query here, get. This is a get. All right, cool. So there we go. It's got all of our package dependencies, and we've got our public resources, views, sources, app, controllers, models, to do. So this is, I guess, the sample, right? Routes. Okay. App get, app. All right. App.get, app.get. This is the hello, app.get request, hello Vapor, hello world. Interesting. So if we go into here and just go hello. All right. No, not found. Interesting. I did 3 L's, 2 L's. There we go. Hello world. This is title view render. Okay, so this has actually got a rendering engine, which we do. I mean, we don't really care. We're just trying to make an API here, right? So that returned. See, did it return a request? Okay, so we're basically here. It's going to ask us for a request with the get name, but we want to send in data, right? So we want to send in. This is the single value request hooks. Vapor will automatically call before encode and after encode on a content type. So we want content type binary in this case, right? So we don't want JSON because we're going to send a get, right? We're going to send a get with an ID number or with a data set. So that's the image. And we want to, what the get will give us is that ID, right? So I need to find out how to set up endpoint here. So we do want to get an app.get, right? So this will be a request. And the apt get will be, we've got two. We've got register. We want to register an ID, right? So we want to register an image. So we'll send an image or multiple images, and then I'm not sure how many we would want to be really accurate with identification, but I guess you'd want you'd really want multiples, obviously. And I mean, registration string would be a bool in this case, right? I mean, that's we don't. This will get the route here. This is the routes. So content client. Client API allows you to make HTTP calls to external resources. It's built-in async. Okay. Okay, so we have a client. So this is the other thing where I wanted to execute a process on the other side, right? So Vapor's content API is available for handling data in client requests and responses. So we have, let's see, request. So this is the response. Okay, so basically it's calling another post to another endpoint. So that's not necessarily what we want, right? So that's client validation, async logging environment. So Fluent, what is Fluent exactly? Fluent is an ORM framework for Swift. And what does that do? We've got a Mongo. Okay, so that's the other thing. We have a MongoDB, right? So that's our MongoDB. That's how we're going to interact with it. We have a Fluent Mongo driver. I think we have that. We don't need to worry about that now, about storing the data. So I guess one thing we can do is essentially register, send in registration, and then perform some functions. It would be interesting to know how to do logging, hello world folder structure. We don't care about that. I guess we have okay, let's figure out what controllers do. Controllers are a way to organize your code. They're a collection of methods that accept and request and return a response. So this is a route collection. So we have our controllers here, and we have our to-do controller. Interesting. Compiling for iOS 12. I'm not sure why this is picked iOS 12, to be honest. Um, I'm not sure. I really don't understand where that's coming from. Is it Docker? No. Yeah, I have no idea why. It's probably picking that up from some configuration file. The only configuration file is here, which is SwiftTools version 5.10. There isn't anything here that's saying that iOS. Oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's the case. I mean, we could, because we're running on Apple Silicon, it shouldn't really matter. We should be able to even do it on my Mac. Yeah, all right. This should now not worry about iOS 12. Yeah, okay, cool. What do you mean no such module Fluent? Of course, there's a module called Fluent here. Yeah, there we go, discovered. Oh, all right, all good. The idea is just that we don't want errors here. So this is sendable create. So this is our controller to create a to-do. We'll make a controller called animal. See, new folder. So animal ID controller. So, oh, that's okay. Animal ID. Let's move this to trash. Okay, we want to create a new Swift file. And this one is animal ID controller. All right, cool. Animal ID controller. Animal ID controller. All right. Just keep that here. All right. So what do we have here? We have, I guess, a class, right? Animal. How does this look? Struct. Oh, it's a struct. It all struct. We might just split this in order to kind of understand how it works. Keep that open here like this. If we need to now, actually do this and close this here. So we can actually split up into two windows. Let's just make it bigger so everybody can read that. All right, so we have struct. So struct, this is like programming 101. You see something, you write it out yourself. I always like to write things out myself, like, so it's just easier. Animal ID controller, and we have a route collection, right? So this is exactly what we want. It's a CRUD for our animal IDs. That's it. and we want to import Vapor for now, and work with that. So we've got route collection, unless route collection is not available here. And it does not conform. Okay, it doesn't conform. So we have boot. I take it that's one of the things we need to do. Boot routes, and this will just give us our requirement here. Boot. Yep, that's what we need. Any route. So we go animal d equals routes, and then we've got grouped routes, and this will give us a path, which will be animal ID. So basically, look, once I write this out, I can delete the old to do standard test, right? Standard test Vapor site. So what we have here, we have our animal ID routes, and our animal ID routes, we have a get, post, and group. Okay, so this we have a get, and we have the name of the function, so it'll register it here. So we'll register the function. Interesting. What does this take in as a parameter? It takes in a path component. Interesting. Okay, so path component. So I take it a route collection is a path route collection. Let's have a look. Route collection isn't a path component. Interesting. Whoa, there we go. So back here to control. And index is a function, get, post. So it takes in the path. No, we don't have a path, right? So we don't have a path here. This one here is a path component, which is text. And then a closure. Okay, so it's just a closure, obviously. There's nothing else to it. The closure is basically a function call, but in this case, it is the self registration of this self class. So these functions are, I guess they're essentially what you would call statics in this sense, right? Because they're not mutable, right? So they're not working on this particular struct data. They look very much like stateless structs that define routes, by the looks of it, because you have an instance of this struct and it would do the same thing every time because there is no state supplied here. The request is just passed in request DB. All right, so we're learning a bit about this stuff here, right? Okay, so animal ID, we want to have a get, right? We get, use our identify, self.identify, right? Basically, we have animal ID, we have a post, and we use self.register, right? So we identify and register. Identify will return the ID number, and register will return, and register will tell us whether it's being able to register or not. One of the things we might want to do in register is if something already exists, then we maybe don't want to register it again. And we have group, delete. Interesting. So we have delete to do, okay, group with the supplied. Okay, get index, use get index of the request. So return list. What's this request here? It's any request. Doesn't tell us what it is. So request.db on query on the database, all map, and to DTO. What is DTO? This to DTO. This is fluent to. Okay. So this is now model, right? To DTO, so ID title. So this looks like get. index request query on the database all map. Interesting. So it returns all of the to-dos. Why would you call it? Maybe it's just called index because it's the root. So in this case, how do we supply a parameter in Fluent? A good place to put your controllers is in the controllers folder. Sure. Show request. So, okay, so request parameters ID. So there we go. We do have some information here. For identify. So in this case, I mean, a lot of, I think we could use base 64 for encoding the image. Makes big requests. Ideally, it's better to send through binary data for large images. Look, I mean, we're in the interests of getting something up and running. I'm just gonna do this with just basic, basic definitions. Identify. I wonder if index automatically converts it to the root group, the root of the control route builder. Control methods should always accept a request and return something response encodable. Finally, need to register the main controls in routes.swift. All right, sure. We'll register it. We have a models, DTOs, content. Vapor's content API allows you to encode, decode codable structs. So we have post. So that's telling us about how to encode things and decode things. Router methods. We have a get, which returns this. We've done this route parameters. So we don't really care about our routes right now. We want a controller for CRUD. We want a REST API. Let's see. Path component. So if we wanted to have like a website here, get number X. So this is the path. Okay, so this is a great number. Returns a string. So really, essentially, if we register, we still want to return the ID, right? So we still would want to return a string, and we'll get, okay, cool. We don't want to delete, don't worry about delete for now. It's basically, it's just sendable. X request. Okay, so this is the first time I've run anything in Vapor. I understand the basic principles. I've worked in Azure ASP.NET Core. I've done the Django. I've done Blazor. I've worked with what's it called, Svelte. So, and I understand basically how the requests work. On a web HTTP server. Basically, it serves HTTP serves HTTP and responds to HTTP requests. And in a REST API, HTTP requests are essentially, here's a HTTP request. It tells you what kind it is, whether it's in REST API, it's like a post, put, delete, get, right? So you get one of those things. You get that REST API set up. Basically, because we're going for a simple CRUD style thing, we're registering and we're retrieving. That's all we need to do. Then REST is a really excellent way to get it up and running. It's very standard, very well supported across the board. In this case, we just we have a request sync. In this case, we'll just go return ID identify to do supply ID. Okay, so that's what we do there. We have another one which will be sendable, and we have not index. See, get. Okay, so we have no get identify. Of identify, and here we have basically register. Same thing. I guess we get a request. And async throws. I have to say, I love Swift asynchronous development. I mean, it's really, really good. It's I think it's on the same level of structured concurrency in Kotlin. I think it beats. I haven't really used Go routines or Go, so I still have my Go book to jump into. Really, really want to have a look at Go at some point to see what you can do with it. To build, I guess, web-based platforms is what it's about. So how you do that, I'm not sure. But anyway, so we return a string registers like, we would maybe return HTTP status. In this case, it'll be just HTTP status OK. Is accepted, already created. Okay, created. Very complex. Continue. Accepted. Already reported. Created. Let's just send through created. No content. Does it supply anything? No, it's just. I wonder what it is. HTTP created. Okay, maybe just 22xx. No, okay, created. What is registered? Which is H2 200. HTTP response 200, which means it's okay. So if you look at this, basically anything that is 2xx is good. Anything that's 3xx is anything 4xx is bad, and 5xx is that's the end. This is really bad. If max, okay, so we've got that. We don't. Max said, okay, collect streaming. This is exactly what we need. See, I always find when you're coding and you want something to happen, you just keep moving, and sometimes something pops up. And if you keep sort of poking and poking and poking and nothing pops up, it doesn't work. You're stuck, and there's not much you can do. Then what I suggest is just stepping away from the computer, having a think, or drawing something out. I mean, going for a walk always helps me. If I'm not distracted, it's like distraction is like the annoying thing. If I'm not distracted, if I'm focused, I just keep going, boom, 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 get things done. Everything seems to bubble up and work. If I find that I'm just stuck looking for things and just things aren't making sense, it just straight away as you get that sense, just walk away from the screen, go for a walk, don't think about it, try not to think about it, come back, try again. If it doesn't work on something else and see if you can come back. Ask a friend, you know? It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Ask a friend, call a friend. All right, so we've got our server here. Let's exit. I think it's Control C. We can just end it. I think so. I think it's. Let's try running it again. So build failure. Okay, let's jump back into animal controller. I think it's not happy with what we've done here. Something. What have we done? There's no errors here. Bool. Where's it expecting a bool? Did I not save something? What? App roots. Ah, probably made some changes to routes.m. Yeah. We don't care about this. Okay. And with register, we can get rid of our to-do controller at some point. Not yet, because I want to just keep some of the things there about how it works for future reference. So collects streaming bodies. So if a streaming body, default backslash routes, body streaming, when registering a route using the on method, you can specify how the request body should be handled. By default, request bodies are collected into memory before calling your handler. This is useful since it allows request content decoding to be synchronous even though your application reads incoming requests asynchronously. Okay, so to configure a request body collection strategy for individual route, how would I do? Okay, I can register a collection, but how do I do? So this is an app route render. No, how do we do that? So this is a post on the upload body stream. So that's routing. So on a post on, okay, let's see, app index create show update. How do you specify? Well, these are controllers. Control methods should always accept the request and return something response encodable. How would I do a binary get response parameter ID? So I mean, this is it's not clear how this accepts data. Serving content, post greeting profiles. It's the model, right? Again, so these are the routes, but how would I do it in the controller? Hooks, before encode, global. The default decoders used by Vapors can be configured one off. J decoder, decoding second since custom coders. So since a response encodable HTML. So this is kind of like moving beyond what I think one of the thing about advanced controllers, commands, testing, middleware. So we will need some middleware, I think, for what we need to do when we register our face, right? Our image. But before I get into that, I need to figure out how to get in a controller data that may be binary, like a binary stream of data. So with a controller, we'd have create with the request. How do I specify that request? Good place to put your controllers folder. That's great. Is there more to controllers? How do I get? Okay, let's do a search. How do I accept controllers? Swift Vapor. How do I accept binary data stream in controllers with Vapor? Restream chunk data, service and events. Vapor advanced commands, default commands. Swift run. Okay, so this is hello command. Okay, this doesn't, no commands. No, that's not sure what that is. Vapor Commands API allows you to build custom command line functions, interact with the terminal. No, don't care about that. Server-side Swift with the Vapor, accepting this. So this is probably going to be an old version of Vapor. Yeah, the whole Swift with Vapor book 2018. I think this is a bit out of date. Let's see. If you have any trouble with the changes in the current beta version of Vapor, my God, this is old. Powerful backend API with Vapor Swift comprehensive server-side Swift. What about this? No. 5.25.4. This is probably newer. Okay. I should have this. Well, maybe I don't. It's locked. I guess I haven't bought this book. Controllers in Vapor using Swift. No. Do basic. Let's just go back here. Okay, so see, okay. Oh, all right. I see it. We have our request content decode to do. So we just decode straight into the structure, right? So essentially what we would do here, let's do it. Animal ID controller. So let's see doesn't like it. Wonder why it doesn't like it. Okay, guys. Well, I think does it accept animal ID control register? I think it's pretty straightforward so far. We've made our first step into creating a controller accept routes. Essentially, with this model, we have our to do DTO. It looks like there's something. It does decode into this, right? ID title to model, and I think it'd be interesting to see how we would supply data into a request and how that gets decoded. We'll have a look how that might work when we do a HTTP request, when we send it from the app, right? So let's just say we have a request and we have, let's say we've got DTOs. What is a DTO? What does that mean? Someone can tell me what a DTO is. So we have controllers here that decode everything based on the structure. We have to do group ID, get, put, delete ID, to do, get, and post. So if we get to do, get, post, show, update. So use get index. So this gets all of them. And this one, find request parameters, get ID on request database. So the other thing we need to look at here is setting up a MongoDB. So okay, it looks like DTO is property wrapper. So to do DTO, to do ID, and this one's to do find. So we have to do, which is like a model. To DTO. I think DTO might be an intermediate, some kind of intermediate model. Uh, Not really clear what that is. In this case, what it does is in to do query, it does map it to DTO and returns it to do DTO. Maybe this one is content, right? So it's content convertible to from content in an HTTP message. And this is obviously, I think, in Vapor, yeah. Whereas the other one is the actual model from the database. All right, so basically we'll need to create something like this. We've got a field ID, we've got a property wrapper here, we've got a field key. Yeah, so we have a field property. So we'll do pretty much the same thing. Okay, guys, I'm gonna say that I think that's it for now, for today. We've got our server running locally. Let's make sure we run it before we finish up. We've got our server running locally. We have the first steps to building, new endpoints. We should be able to, register animal ID, routes grouped. So if we go to, we've registered it. So we've got to animal ID. Let's see, ID. We don't. Do we have it at the? It'll be the index. Where would it be? Would be a get at this point. Yeah, to do supply ID, right? So we would have to do a get at this point with a HTTP request, something like that, right? For now, it just returns a text string. And we'd want it to supply, we would supply something to see what would supply the image. If we don't get an image, it would give us an error, 303. And then what else do we have? We have the get, we have the post. So we'd also, I guess in this case, we'd go, postman. We've got our postman. Hey there. We'll load up our postman just to validate that we can get this animal ID. Oh, yeah. Sign in. Yep. Okay. Let's just, happy days. Sign in to my postman account. New collection. New, make it a post. Request. So we want 127. Actually, no. Enter URL 127.0.0.1 ID. And so I think, let's return. Error connection refused. Oh, wonder why. That's not very nice. Is it because it's not running? No, it is running. Get. That's all right. Why is it? Let's see. So we've got postman. We've got a get. Where's Xcode? We've registered, and we have our register, post, animal ID. And why was it refused? Let's just check it. Okay. So we're not doing anything. We just, unless post register, maybe? Maybe I've written that wrong. Could not send a request. Error connection refused. Post. Let's try to do the get. See what happens then. Animal ID. Connection refused. Ah, wait a second. Is it? Ah, that's right, because we're doing 8080. We haven't exposed HTTP server locally. We've just got this running on port 8080. On our server, we have Nginx routing to port 8080. Here we go. Excellent. So we have this running, and let's do a post. Should just give us, will this give us the created? Okay, excellent. We have a post. What did it give us? 201. Okay, host accept. So we have the tools now necessary to really to investigate the process. We have our logging on the server starting to happen, right? In the span of 30 minutes, we've got a local server now. We've got some endpoints, and we're basically getting ourselves started in building this server. This is good. I'm happy to wrap up. Next week, we're going to dive in a bit deeper, see if we can get middleware going with some database stuff going in, like just pumping stuff into our database. Maybe next week just focusing on getting the database going might be enough. Right? Although I expect to be diving into this a bit more during the week, so any progress that I make, we'll go and continue in from there afterwards. All right, guys, thanks very much for tuning in. I will see you at the next one. Bye.